Alright, stick her up and get in at the negotiation. Actually, why the business is a far more responsible for the merit and to resonate.
Hello again, and we're back, I'm afraid, to the Bush DAC 90 for the ongoing saga of its restoration, excuse me, particularly on the power supply part. Now, hope you're not getting too bored with this, but we need to bring it to a resolution. I don't like open-ended problems. You saw in the last video that my power resistors, these were totally inadequate wattage wise. I've been trying to get suitable resistors that will actually fit in the space and give the equivalent, the appropriate wattage, and I'm finding it very, very difficult. So I've actually resorted to coming back to the original resistor which I removed, and this one has continuity on the first three stages, but the top stage here was actually burnt off. Now I've come up with a solution. I've measured the continuity between there and there, and there is continuity on that tiny little pin. But I've come up with a possible solution, and that is to file down this ceramic on here to expose the pin a little bit more, and then to use some of this stainless steel wire to wrap around the top to make contact with that in order to put a connection on. Now the problem with doing that, as you may well have guessed, is that the heat generated here is fairly it's lots of heat. It's fairly huge. I haven't actually measured the temperature. I'll do it when I've got it sorted. So how am I going to connect it? Well, my idea is to wrap wire around here, making contact with the exposed pin, which I've yet got to expose a little bit more. Use one of these, which is a just an ordinary mains connector, or a cable connector, you know, the strip connectors, if you like, in plastic. Remove the center of it, which I've done here, so that I've got one there to show you. Just remove the center of it, so I've got the metal with the two screws in it, and use that to secure the wire, similar to that, onto the resistor. In that way, no soldering is involved. The joint will be fairly robust and heat resistant, and I can then use heat resistant wire to connect back onto the heater chain in the radio. So let's have a look in a little bit more detail of how that will work. So here's the resistor, and there's the tiny little point of from the coil inside from the 800 ohm resistor. So I'm going to remove, so I've already started doing this, but I'm going to remove some of this, some more of this now, by filing very, very gently, not on the wire itself obviously, because that's not going to do me any good at all, but filing down each side of it until I expose more of that wire. And I'm going to keep going with this until I've got a decent amount of that wire actually exposed. I've now exposed quite a lot of the conductor from the resistive coil in the ceramic core. So what I'm going to do now is wrap my stainless steel wire around that, having first obviously checked for resistance between the across the resistor. So let's do that. So I've now got my meter connected to one end of the resistor, and from there to this exposed air element here I should get about 800 ohms. and there I've got 761 ohms, so that's pretty good. So I have a connection. It now remains for me to try and secure a wire loop around that in order to be able to terminate it into the radio itself. Once the top of the resistor was filed down, the next step was to grind or file a ridge right around the resistor in order to hold the wire in position, because obviously it's a slippery surface and that's going to slide right off, and also to give it some downward pressure on the actual terminal itself. There's the wire wound around the resistor, and very tightly, and as you can see I'm now measuring 810, about 800 ohms through the resistor coil. So that's absolutely perfect. I've now got to just terminate that, so let's do that. So that's the finished repair. The resistor is now has continuity of 800 ohms from the bottom to the top terminal, and it's a fairly robust connection on that. Okay, it's not a repair I would ever put in a radio and sell to a customer, or to repair for a customer. This is purely for internal use and demonstration of the radio working, but it will provide, until I can find a replacement resistor, an equivalent replacement resistor from a completely busted radio, it will provide a working radio. So that's the connection made. It remains now to fit it to the radio and to test. So that's the next step. Okay, there's the resistor in place, all set up. Again, it's not a very safe connection, but I'm just going to turn it on now and see what we get. So turn it on. The pilot light is out of your view, but the pilot light's sent up. I'm drawing 2.4 amps through the resistor, so it is working. And in a little while I've got a modulated RF source connected, so we should start to hear some. There we go! So that's it working. The intermittent noise is because my signal generator is not really making a very good connection. But as you can see, it's drawing, I'm going to turn that off before I forget it. You see it's drawing current. If I turn the lights down a bit, you'll see that the pilot light is working fine on the radio, and the resistor is warm, but it's not overheating. Oh my goodness me, I've got it on. It's okay, I'm not going to be on very long. I should have it on a metal surface, but it's not overheating, and it's making a good connection with no other additional problems. I'm going to turn it off now because that should be on a piece of metal rather than on my mat. But it's not. I mean, it's warm, but it's not doing anything silly, and that arrangement is going to work. It remains for me now to mount this back in its original position on the radio, get some some heat resistant wire put on there, and all should be well. So I'm going to end this video just here, and I'll come back to you once I've mounted the output transformer in there. That's going to take a bit of work to get in there to do that, and also when I've remounted this, and that will be the final video. Obviously I've got to do the mains cable, that needs to be disconnected from here and a proper mains cable put in. Once all that work is done and I've got the thing back in its case and working, I will make the final video. In the meantime, that's it for now. So, once again, thank you for watching. I hope you're vaguely interested in this. It's just one of my little passions to get these things working again. What I'd like to do is thank many of my subscribers. I've had lots of very positive feedback. Haven't been able to get back to you individually, but if you have subscribed and if you have commented, it is appreciated, and thank you very much indeed. My next video won't be the radio, it'll be something entirely different, but this will recur once it's finished. But thank you very much for watching, and as always, take care.
Alright, stick it up and get in at the negotiation. The negotiator is a power by Johnson from the trying to raise